All right, for my videographer, this is part 9, section 2. Part 9, section 2. A ruler, not a protractor. Ruler, not a protractor. That's what somebody should have done. Some peasant ought to go up to the king. Excuse me, the protractor? No, I'm the ruler. All right, I don't think you feeling this as funny as I am. Let's get to letter B. Salaried samurai. Military professional. Samurai! Skilled in archery and combat, used mostly to put down rebellions. Rebellions. I know that's on here nowhere. In parentheses, after it says military professionals, put Japan. Didn't write where they were. Japan. Japan, we all paying for Japan. Number 2, considered a low military class. They were considered in the lower part of the military class. They were like your wild rebels kind of thing. Don't want to meet them in the back alley. But rose in political power. Rose in political power. You know, if you kill enough people, you're going to get some political power. And look what their skills are. Archery and combat. So that kind of makes sense. It's kind of like in Rome when Spartacus, who was a navigator, a gladiator, he broke out of gladiator school, gathered together a bunch of gladiators and went on the warpath. Well, that's some pretty bad motor scooters you're dealing with. They've been trained to kill. That's what they do. That's kind of like the samurai. Number 3, could threaten the ruling power. Could threaten the ruling power. If a bunch of them get together, they're dangerous. They know how to kill. Number 4, later formed clans and established themselves as military nobility. Military nobility. So they decided, hey, everyone's afraid of us. We're the baddest things around. We're now the nobles. But you don't have any noble blood. Doesn't matter. Got a sword. Got a samurai sword. Number 5, became a strong and difficult resistance for any foreign invasion. Invasion. Hi. Sorry, I saw somebody pull up. You know, if somebody's coming on your shore, of course, Japan's an island country. It's surrounded by shore. That's the only way you can get there is by boat. There's no bridge to Japan, no land way to get there. And you have, a couple hundred samurai standing on the beach with samurai swords. That's a little daunting. Number 6, were generally salaried by a powerful landowner. Were generally salaried by a powerful landowner. In other words, there would be a guy that has a whole bunch of land and say, hey, I tell you what, samurais, you live in this area and protect me, I'll give you money. Cool. That's a whole lot better than having to go out and go to battle every single day. You probably wouldn't have to fight. Someone comes on that land, they realize, man, there's a bunch of samurais here, no one's going to mess with them. Number 7, the landowner could contract them out for the defense of Japan. No, I do have Japan there. Or other conflicts. So if all of Japan's about to be invaded, the landowners would say, okay, I'll let you borrow my samurais, but you're going to pay me to use them. All right, there's an example about how military professionals maintained a centralized government. All right, letter C, Chinese examination system, which were the bureaucratic elites. Number 1, based on Confucian principles. Based on Confucian principles was how the government's bureaucracy was decided. Bureaucracy spelled B-U-R-E-A-U-C-R-A-C-Y. Bureaucracy. I mean, if you look up at the very top, number one, recruited bureaucratic elites. Here's what you're doing. You're recruiting bureaucratic elites. Number three, all students took it at one time and only 300 were allowed to pass. Only 300 were allowed to pass. I was reading last year, over 250,000 students took the World History AP test last year. It's kind of like, and of course there wouldn't be that many taken in Japan, but however many took it, the highest 300, you would get to be a bureaucratic elite, which means you got to know your stuff. You know, if you can make in the top 300, you're pretty good. Again, that goes along. We look at number one up there, recruited bureaucratic elites. How do they do it? China uses the test. It's civil service test. Put in parentheses somewhere, civil service exam. That's what it was called, civil service exam. And I think I said it, but if you want to be a postal carrier today, you have to pass the civil service exam. You got to know what you're doing. Why I get mail in my mailbox that doesn't belong to me, I don't know. Got some mail in my mailbox last week, wasn't even in this city. Wasn't even Lubbock. Some other city. I wrote a little funny thing on the envelope too. We'll not go into that. Number two, European states established new maritime empires in the Americas. All right, we're switching gears a little bit. We're going to talk about new maritime. What does maritime mean? Ocean. Put in parentheses above that. Oh, just put, well, I don't say sea, but mainly ocean. All right. Letter A, the Portuguese. Let's see what they did. Portugal and Spain signed the Treaty of Tordesillas. Tordesillas. Here's how it's spelled. Tordesillas. Tordesillas. And look at my eye. I sure would know this because I'm the one that wrote the unit test. I sure would know this. Treaty of Tordesillas. It divided the New World between Spain and Portugal. In other words, everything over the Americas got to go to Spain and Portugal. The Pope, basically the Pope, that's what you put in there, basically gave the Western Hemisphere to both Spain and Portugal. What countries are left out? England, France. Do you see some problems that may be coming up here due to the Treaty of Tordesillas? Other European powers had no rights in their water and could be captured. So if an English vessel is in Spanish Cuban waters, they can be captured by the Spanish. Number two. Now we're talking about Portugal. Controlled Brazil, B-R-A-Z-I-L. And put above control, put Portugal controlled Brazil. Portugal controlled Brazil. And to this day, if you go to Brazil, you don't speak Spanish, you speak Portuguese. sent African slaves there to work on sugarcane plantations. Now, how come they didn't use the indigenous people there to work on the sugarcane plantations? They died due to when the first Portuguese arrived, the disease spread. Almost all the indigenous people died. There just wasn't many of them left. To this day, Brazil's official language is, I already gave you this one, Portuguese. Portuguese. I personally do not speak any Portuguese and have never been to Brazil, but I can find it on a map. Letter B, let's see what the Spanish did. Had basically all of South America except what country? Could it be Cuba? No. Ecuador. No, not Ecuador. Brazil. And why didn't Spain have Brazil? Did you say because the Portuguese had it? I think I heard you say that. You'd be right. Also had Central America, Mexico, and everything between Texas and California, and also Florida. You got to know all of that area. Basically, everything from Oklahoma down all the way through South America belongs to the Spanish, with the exception of Brazil. Also, everything in the Caribbean, which is anything basically around Cuba, belongs to the Spanish. And Florida belongs to the Spanish. See what the Dutch do. The Dutch, who are from the Netherlands, Northeast United States, Canada, and the Virgin Islands. Which is around Cuba. You know, Spain didn't have, they had almost everything. Little bitty sections belonged to other people. The French, they control Canada, the Louisiana Territory, which, by the way, my man Napoleon, you can't say it once, sold it to Jefferson in 1803 for 6 million buccarinas. Up till that time, the whole Louisiana Territory, which doubled the size of America when they bought it, belonged to the French. If you think back to your Texas history days, there was a French fort in Texas from LaSalle. LaSalle came down and built the French fort. That was one of the 6 flags Texas was under. It wasn't there long, that's for sure, but it was there. And Northeast United States. The British controlled Canada, Florida, part of Florida, and we're going to find out. There's some, I think you get this in American history. I don't think you covered in AP World History. In American history, we get into some problems between the English and the Spanish in Florida. And Northeast United States. Canada, Florida, and Northeast United States. And guys and gals, that's a good place to stop on this one. Stay where you are. We're just going to push a button and come back with number 3.